Hello everybody, welcome back to Fanblade. We're back! Well, not really. This isn't a proper video, this is just an update on some of the things that I'm going to have coming up on the channel over the next few months, as well as an overview of what I did on my holidays. So, yeah. Let's just take a little bit of time to update some of the things that I've said in the past, starting with the conclusion to the last series where I said this. I can finally stop buying basses. Well, can you guess how long that lasted? A little bit longer than you may think, actually. I lasted about 6 weeks. But then, a pink Rickenbacker copy covered in skulls turned up. And yeah, it is so gloriously ridiculous, I just had to have it. I just had to know if it was any good. And it is. The video about this one coming up. And while I was in a pink mood, I also grabbed one of these. This is notable for having 3 pickups. Not often seen. It's also got on-off switches for each thing. These switches are completely screwed. We're going to do a deep dive on this bass as well. This is a Grassroots branded one, and the quality is every bit as good as you would expect, except, yeah, the electronics need a bit of work. So, video about this one coming up. And now it's time for this one to rear its giant neck. I nearly said ugly head, but it doesn't have one. Regular viewers may recall I said some fairly unkind things about this bass. I can totally understand why people fall in love with the sound of these things, but I am not a fan. Not of this particular one anyway. Again, if you've got a later model with a better neck on it, let me know. I think I'll put these pickups in my Les Paul because that'd be an improvement on both fronts. After I made that video, I did take this to a gig and I did play it on stage, and I'm happy to report that after about 10 minutes, I stopped noticing the neck and I just had so much fun playing it. I am 100% converted. I love this thing so much now. I do still want to put a set of these pickups in the Les Paul because that would make that bass a whole lot better, but not these two. Instead, I've got this one, which is ever so slightly newer than this. This is about 6 months younger than this one. It's got a better neck on it, so yes, they learned, and it's got the same pickups. It's also got the wee foldy out bit, which can go on there. It's also got a massive crack in the body. Yeah, this one is a write-off. I'm going to use it for spares to sort out a few other things. Long-time viewers will also recognise this one. This is the Aria Pro, not quite a Cardinal, but sort of hybrid, kind of modern take on a classic. Like, it's just a strange model. I didn't really get on with it, and in fact I said this at the end of the last video. I suppose the next logical step is to get a genuine vintage Cardinal, so that I can compare the two, like I need an excuse to go shopping again. So of course I had to go and get a good old early 80s original. We will be comparing and contrasting. These are cool basses, I really like these. And because I wasn't really sure what I was getting with these Music Man pickups, I went and got these two. These are laid-back branded, sort of P-bass shaped, but crucially, Music Man pickup in the correct position and active circuitry. These are really ridiculously cheap instruments. They're also very inconsistent. The neck on this one is finished nicely. That one, very much less so. Neither of the electronics work in either of them. We're going to have to do a deep dive on repairing and comparing and contrasting these. What I want to do with these is my standard trick of having a matching fretted and fretless basses. But I need to cut about half a ton of weight out of this one, and then we might look at doing some interesting things with the circuitry. I haven't quite decided what to do yet, but at least I've got some Music Man style basses to experiment on, and neither of them look like a toilet seat. In terms of what I've been getting up to while I've been gone, well, several things. First of all, I bought a 3D printer, and I've started printing my own pickups. Now, this is not going to become a 3D printing channel. I bought a printer which is literally plug and play. I cannot tell you how it worked. I barely know how to program it, but I have successfully been able to design a few different varieties of 3D printable pickup things. More about that when it comes time to talk about it. But, yes, 3D printed P-bass pickups. they sound all right. I've also been thinking about alternatives to superglue, and this is a genuine 4-leaf clover that I have set in UV-cured resin. And yeah, that's tough stuff. This was a little test, actually. I wanted to put one on my keyring and see how it would fare living in my pocket on my keyring for, a couple of months. And there's no signs of cracking at all. If this was made of acrylic, then that little bit of material just through there, that would have just split and broken months ago. And it would have lasted days before breaking. But that is, that's tough stuff. That's what I want for the finish of my bases. Applying it and curing it on a large scale, though, will be a bit of a learning curve, and that's largely one of the places where I'm going to be going over the next few months. I've got a few projects in mind, one of which is another upright bass. I've been playing in a band called the Kay Duncan Band. Great songs, links in the description to various things that are available on YouTube and elsewhere. In fact, we actually did an appearance at a local community radio station, and we literally bought the house down. It's what you do. But the other main project that I've been working on over the winter break was an album. Yeah, I made another record. It is out on Spotify right now, link again in the description, and I went on that same radio station, in fact, the same show, which is Expanding Horizons with Colin and Stu, although in this case, Colin wasn't there. But the rest of this video is edited highlights of the interview where we went in. This basically serves as the album release party. So yes, I'll be back with some proper videos in the very, very near future. But in the meantime, please enjoy this interview with myself and my friend Tony on the show Expanding Horizons on Plains FM 96.9.
And good afternoon and welcome to Expanding Horizons on Plains FM 96.9. My name's Stu, and you won't hear any of that sort of banter and bickering today because Colin's not here. He's all the way up in Kaikoura doing some whale watching, and so it's just me running the show. But I'm not alone, and in the studio today we have some very special guests. Well, one who's been here quite a bit, and Jeff. How's it going, Jeff?
Yes, good. Hi, Stu. Hello, listeners. Good to be back.
And we've also got Tony as well.
Hi, Stu. Thanks for having us.
That's all right. And you're part of a project that you've been working on, which we're going to talk a lot about.
Yep.
That's right. And so we'll talk about that. We'll wait until we come back from a track to really get into that. But it's an exciting project, and you've launched an album. Yep, all of those things. And we're going to, well, of course, we're going to hear some tracks from that today, and you're also going to play live in studio, which is cool.
Apparently, yes.
Yeah. And on the show today, we have Jeff and Tony from Tongue and Groove. And Jeff, I know you've been on the show a billion times.
How many fingers do I have? I've lost count.
But so your challenge today is, because some of the listeners out there might not know too much about you. You got 30 seconds. Tell us all about you.
Right, start the clock. I am obsessed with bass guitars and microphones. And I build bass guitars and I use microphones. I play the bass guitars and record it with the microphones. And sometimes I do this on stage, sometimes I do it in the studio, and sometimes it's worth listening to.
Okay, that's good.
How much time have I got left?
You probably had a little bit of time left, but that'll do. And so, Tony, what about you? So what's your musical background? How did you get into this?
Well, I was in bands at high school. I used to play a trumpet and orchestras and jazz bands and that sort of thing, and then Rock Quest, and then into the world as a budding young Kurt Cobain wannabe in my late teens, I suppose. And I guess I've always sort of been out and about playing and just doing what I can, and known Jeff for about 20 years now.
Right, and survived.
He's one of the few.
Yeah. He's been quite inspirational for me. So
I noticed that you're rocking a Beatles T-shirt. They're one of your influences, musical influences, growing up, maybe.
Fan. Yeah, yep. One of the few things my parents listened to that I actually approved of. So
right,
a lot of country music thrown in there as a kid as well.
So what else were you into?
Lots of grunge, and got right into the sort of Chili Peppers and quite a wide variety, I suppose, of different influences and styles. Big fan of lots of 70s music, Pink Floyd, Led Zepp, all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, so this project, Tongue and Groove,
Yes.
what the hell's that all about?
Well,
And where did it come from? I want the genesis, Jeff.
the genesis. Okay, so Tony and I have been playing music together in various guises for probably 15 to 17 years, something like that.
Yeah.
It was definitely pre-earthquake, that's for sure. And we had a band called the Triphonics, which was I was on drums, Tony was on bass and singing, and we had our friend Heath Rainey on guitar, and we were a power trio, and going out doing covers. And then one day in rehearsal, I said, "Anyone written a top 10 hit?" And to my immense surprise, Tony said, "Oh yeah, we've got a couple actually." So, and I didn't know that between them, he and Heath had been writing songs. I was
Right.
like, "Oh well, God, let's do them." So we I don't think we ever even played another covers gig, did we?
No, not initially, no.
No, we just
It was
immediately switched focus and went to put together the Triphonics Blender album, which was a little bit stymied right in the middle because there was an earthquake and the studio fell over.
Not helpful.
So we had some half-finished tracks, and we went off to see Arnie Van Bussel at Night Shift Studios just to see if he could even mix them because we had nothing to work with. And he mixed them, and we all agreed that they'd probably sound better if we actually went and re-recorded them in a proper studio with Arnie, with all of his gear. He produced it, and it's still a cool record. I'm really, really happy with that one. But that was, as I say, 12 years ago? 15 years ago? So we thought it's about time we did another one. And I do a project every February, which is the RPM Challenge, to write and record an album in February. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's not really long enough to do a good record because you're really just rushing to get everything done. And I got Tony to come in and help me this time, and he wrote a few lyrics and I wrote some music, and it actually worked rather well. Because I do the YouTube channel where I'm building bass guitars, but I take a break every winter because it's just a frozen wasteland in my garage. It's just unworkable. Yeah, I got a text from Tony to say, "Hey, if you've got any time over winter, do you want to do another record?" I was like, "Yep, let's do this." So we did.
We did, yep. We hit the ground running.
Yes.
I think you had something like 20-odd demos within the first 2 or 3 weeks. It was all...
So we set 3 months aside to make this record. And we said, right, June we're going to write it, July we're going to record it, August we're going to mix it. So rather than trying to cram everything into 1 month, suddenly we've got 3 months to spread out and actually do a really good job and get all the details right. And I think we did a pretty good job. I would write a bit of music, I would send it off to Tony, and it would come back with lyrics on it. I thought this was pretty good.
Magic, right?
And I think over the course of that initial month's writing, I sent off, I think, 23 pieces of music in 28 days, and 17 or 18 of them came back with words on them.
Right.
And then we just picked the best ones to work on.
Sat and scrutineered through what we had, and yeah.
So, Tony, how do you go about the writing process? How does that work for you?
Well, I think I'm quite lucky with having, Jeff putting these tracks together. And the hardest bit initially is just sort of coming up with an idea. Mm-hmm. Once I've got an idea and a melody, then I find it just flows quite nicely.
Right.
But having something good to work with definitely helps.
So what do you base your ideas on? Is it everyday experiences? Is it past experiences? People you see? How does it work?
It's probably a combination of real life and people in your life at times and experiences you have, and occasionally they're just nonsense.
All right, so you put the lyrics to the music and send them to Jeff. So what's the process from there? Do you give some feedback? Are you...
Well, feedback is I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I never told Tony what to write about. I never said, I don't like this or I do like that. I never... I never wanted to second guess his part of the process. He's one of the very few people that I know well enough that I can trust him 100% to do a thing that I'm going to like. And I think that trust goes both ways, because once he'd sent the lyrics back to me, he basically just said, well, there you go, that's a written song now, and just let me make the record.
Sure. Yeah.
I just made it.
Right.
And I think Tony's played a little bit of guitar on it, and we got Heath to play a little bit of guitar on it, and we actually got the governor himself, Rob Tate, came in and played some rhythm guitar on one song, and then he played an absolutely astonishing solo on another song.
Right.
Yeah, but most of it, it was just me screwing around in my studio for a month.
Nice. So I was going to ask this before, but tongue and groove. So I get the T and G, right?
Yep. Well, it's Tony and Jeff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I'm doing the music and he's doing the words, tongue and groove. I'm also a keen woodworker.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
Sort of, I think we came up with that. I was busking, well, not busking, but I was playing in a market.
Oh, this was at New Brighton.
In New Brighton, yeah.
Yes.
And then Jeff came along and sort of said, oh, do you want some company? I said, yeah, that'd be great.
So
You just happened to stroll along, Jeff?
well, no, I just had nothing to do that afternoon, so I turned up with a bass and I thought we'll just play some things. And somebody some woman wandered along and said, hey, you guys are great. Are you a duo? And we sort of looked at each other and
Yeah.
I said, are we a duo? I think we're a duo.
From about 30 minutes ago, yeah.
And the busking or market type play thing, Tony, have you done a lot of that? Is that something?
I haven't done a lot of that, no, just done a few open mic sort of things.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that particular market, were you invited to that? How does that work for people?
Actually, I was playing upstairs at open mic in New Brighton, a place called Level 1, which is closed now, unfortunately. And someone was there that's involved in the market scene in New Brighton, and she reached out to me on Facebook and said, oh, do you want to come down and do a slot?
Right. And so you did?
Yeah. It was a great day and sun was shining, and yeah, it was good.
That's good. So the cover of this, the artwork, we need to tell that story as well. And people need to have a look at this. I mean, this album's on Spotify, so you can have a look at the artwork.
Yes. Where do we even start? As musicians, we have our artistic tendencies towards the sonic, not the visual.
Yeah,
and
I can't draw to save myself. So.
And neither of us can paint. We're terrible for photographs. Like, I own a camera. Mm-hmm. Essentially, yes, we spent 3 months making this record, and then we literally put the cover together in about 15 minutes. And we thought, like, pick a name. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a song on there called Mr. Invisible. There's another song called Feeding the Monsters. Invisible monsters. Okay,
done. Check.
How do we film that? I don't know. Us with no heads. Okay, 15 minutes in Photoshop, and it was done.
Voila.
And we never questioned it.
It's an instant classic.
Actually, Jeff had an idea from a previous project that we had. We were talking about shooting a video, and similarly, we were going to make ourselves disappear.
Yeah.
Right. So we went out and purchased a green suit.
Yep.
So yes, I do have a very short video clip that I made just to test out the invisibility suit.
Right.
Which actually worked surprisingly well. And if we ever get to the point where we're going to make a video, then I think we will probably do something like that. But yeah, all I can say about the invisibility suits is that they say that one size fits all.
But not true.
It is not. It was not fun being in that thing. You can't see anything out. You can't see out of it either.
Was that a look sharp purchase? Was it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I've seen those there, so that's good. I've often thought about getting one of those.
I can confirm they do work quite well. They'd probably fit you quite nicely. I'm a little bit sort of broader shouldered, and it's a very tight stretch.
Yeah, they're not very flattering.
Well, if your body is of a certain shape, then they could be very flattering. That is not the case that I found.
Anyway, you needed that artwork for Spotify, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got to have an image on there. All right, so Jeff, you were kind of threatening to geek out a little bit before over the recording process, and so tell us about that. Tell us about what you went through.
Okay. You want to start the clock on 30,
Yep.
30 seconds?
No, I'll give you a little bit more.
Okay. Where do you even begin? A lot of the reason why people think that modern music these days all sounds the same is because people are using sample packs, they're using the same plugins, they're making records in their laptops on headphones. A lot of the time, the record that they're making was never even heard. No part of it was ever made noise in real life. It's all just happened in a little box. They're plugging their guitar into amp simulators and just there's no actual noise being made. Well, every single sound on this record was a loud thing with a microphone in front of it. And in that regard, it doesn't sound like anything else. No other album that's ever been made has my collection of assorted microphones of varying quality, taped together and then chucked in front of whatever assortment of instruments that I've used. I have a lot of gear. I have an insane amount of gear, and I do not use the word insane lightly. I have a problem. I have got so much equipment, it is problematic. So it's good to actually be able to get to use it and sort of justify having all this stuff. But yeah, there's the actual recording process itself. Yes, you take an instrument, you put a mic in front of it, then you play that instrument, and if you've done got a little bit of experience, you can make them sound good. I start with the drums, then I put down the bass, then usually some guitars or some piano. At that point, I've got enough that I can send that off to Tony. Tony's got a microphone in his. Is it a basement or is it a?
It's a room in my garage.
Right,
yeah.
right. There's a little studio.
I call it my studio.
Yeah. So he overdubs a load of vocals, sends those back to me as individual WAV files. I then sync that up with the original stems, put all the reverb and do all the compression and the mixing and everything, and then you sit back and you listen to it for about 3 weeks.
Right.
And you go, right, what does this song need? And most of the time, all it needs is a little bit of extra texture in the third verse to stop it getting boring, and then something loud over the outro.
Right.
That's largely what, sort of all you actually need to add to a track once you've got the bare bones of it there. But then, of course, I had a slightly more time to fiddle with it than that, so I got a little bit spacey. I pulled out a slide guitar. I played slide guitar on one song.
Nice.
Yeah.
It strikes me, though, Jeff, that you are a little bit of a perfectionist, though. So do you... So you said you don't do too much fiddling, but...
I do an appropriate amount of fiddling until I feel like if I've got any more adjustments to make, if I don't know if it's going to be an improvement or not. Because a lot of the time it's just listening through going, oh, there's a problem with the bass track, or there's a problem with that snare drum hit, or there's a problem with, I don't know, I've hit a wrong note on the piano, so I've got to copy and paste a thing somewhere. When you're doing sort of problem fixes, then that is obviously, you are making an improvement to the record. But when you're just comparing 3 different types of reverb and going, well, which one's better? Well, you're not necessarily making an improvement, and at that point you have to just go, right, we'll just... One of them's okay, they're fine.
Yeah, sure.
Stop messing with it at that point.
So you can say enough is enough?
Yeah, because you can literally drive yourself mad.
Oh, absolutely. I know with video editing, I've done, you're always going back and you're always sort of playing around, but then 6 hours has gone past.
Yes.
And as you say, you haven't necessarily made any improvements. You just fiddled and made little minor adjustments that no one really cares about.
Yeah. Although a lot of the time you are doing these things for your own satisfaction. I mean, I've made videos in the past where I've spent, as you say, 6 hours on a 3-second joke, which nobody got, but it made me smile to do it. And doesn't everybody just need to smile sometimes?
Absolutely. I was talking about whether you're going to do some gigging, but you're going to perform some tracks live in here. So should we get onto that?
Okay.
Because you've got these wonderful instruments in here, and we don't want them to go to waste. And time is flying. So what are we going to play here?
Is it all wrapped up?
Yeah, well, this song's called All Wrapped Up. This is a song I think that this came a long time before the Invisible Monsters album.
This might have actually even been one of the first things we ever did.
That never kind of made it anywhere, but we had it there and we kept it hanging around. And
I think this was musically it was an offcut from a album that I did in February 2019 maybe, but I thought, well, this is too good to not have words on it, but I'm obviously not going to put words on it, so I sent it to Tony. He did it, and then it never turned up on an album until now.
I described it as a sea shanty. It has that kind of vibe to it. Yeah. Bouncy and.
So what's the first line?
Well, it talks about being lost at sea in a boat.
That'll do it.
Kind of that'll do it. Feel about it. So I've never been lost at sea in a boat, but it seemed to work.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2.
Time rolls on for a ship that carries me to the beating heart of your love. I was lost far out at sea. Beat this storm, I swore I would. If only you would say you could. All wrapped up in your arms, and I'll breathe silently. To see for the way things were long before. Oh, how crazy our lives have been. Hold me now, I need your touch. If only I could say that much. All wrapped up in your arms, and I'll breathe silently.
to Stu and Cole.
Right here on Otatahi's own Plains FM 96.9. Yes, you're on Expanding Horizons with Stu and Tongue and Groove, and that was all wrapped up. Your sea shanty. That's beautiful, guys.
Thanks.
I love that. And I love that idea of being wrapped up in someone's arms, and that's such a warm track as well. It was just good. So warm in the studio here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is, I think that's the first time we've ever tried to play that live.
Right. Well, you nailed it. It didn't look... we need to hear another one because we are fast running out of time.
Oh. What is where is the clock?
It's nearly 10 to 4.
Oh, okay.
What are we going to play?
Well, actually, this one, Let's Keep On Smiling, was kind of a last minute. We
had another song. Oh, actually, I'd tell them about Golden Spires. So I had this beautiful little piano thing that I'd written, and we tried to turn it into a sort of a rock song. It didn't quite work, and we tried a couple of different ways to do it, and then I tried, well, what if I do it with guitars? And then I thought, well, no, it doesn't work as a rock song. Let's bring it down and do it more of a ballad thing, and then it was just lame. And I worked out that what I'd written, this little piano thing, was not a song. It was a ringtone. And that's all it was ever going to be. So we had to throw it off the album, and we wrote this one pretty much in like a day or two.
Yeah.
But by this stage, we knew how to write together, and I think I sent this thing off to Tony, and it came back with fire on it. It was great.
Yeah, I was surprised, actually. I thought he loved it, so yeah.
So done.
We put some effort into it.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's do it. I'll just play this one again.
Live, loud, and simply awesome. You're listening to the live music experience on Expanding Horizons on Plains FM 96.9.
They're whispering.
Oh, don't whisper.
Yeah.
They're whispering to each other.
We don't know how to start this song.
They don't know how to start it. But let's give it a crack.
One whole verse for the intro. Okay, yeah.
Here we go.
Shoulder, your life's a roller coaster, won't you? Turn the light off for me. 2 drops of venom won't help you in this situation while you've got your life on repeat. Do what you order, I can't help if you don't wanna listen. It's been like this for a while. Your dirty habits, in fact you're acting like an ass, or it just seems so selfish to me. Too late, the ship has sailed, all bets are off and there's a tidal wave. It's time to meet your maker, coming fast, you don't understand how I'm feeling, how hard I've been trying. Gotta push on through, gotta keep on smiling. What you've been smoking, those plastic eyes, you must be joking. It's been like this for a while. Like a stock record, everyone around is shaking their heads, and now you're rolling your eyes. Too late, the ship has sailed, all bets are off, and there's a tidal wave. It's time to meet your maker, coming fast, you don't understand how I'm feeling, how hard I've been trying. Gotta push on through, gotta keep on smiling. Complaining, cause when I do, I'm just a bad guy. Don't give a damn what I say. You learn a lesson, or maybe you will just die trying. Why does no one listen to me? are off and there's a tidal wave. It's time to meet your maker, coming fast, you don't understand how I'm feeling, how hard I've been trying. Gotta push on through, and you know it's the truth. Life is hard, life is cruel. Should've stayed in school, yeah.
Doing it live on Expanding Horizons, Plains FM 96.9.
Yes, we do the show live every Saturday between 3 and 4, and it's repeated after dark on a Thursday night between 9 and 10. And that was Keep On Smiling from Tongue and Groove. That was great too. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. What I like, I'm going to have a good listen to this album, but I like, you got lots of short, sharp tracks on here, really. It's good. No.
Yeah.
There's no big, massive power ballads.
No, get in, do your thing, get out again.
Yeah.
There's not a single wasted note on it. All killer, no filler. There's zero. This is half of what I spent the time doing when I was mixing it, was just getting rid of anything that didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
And like I say, some of these songs could have been, if we'd padded them out, they could have been 4 to 6 to 10 minutes.
Yep.
But no, I think they average about 3 minutes 10,
which is perfect, right? That is perfect.
There's one song that hits the 4 minute mark because there is 2 solos in it. One of them's me on keyboard, and the other one was this epicness that Rob Tate laid down.
Of course,
and had to extend it out to keep that in there. It just had to be on there. Yeah.
So what's next on the horizon for Tongue and Groove? I know you've just put this out.
Well, hopefully a video.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty keen to experiment down that road.
Yeah. Yes, I've got a couple of ideas about what we could do video-wise. One of them involves quite a large film crew, though. And I'm sure they would like to be paid. So yes, we've got to figure out how we're going to do that and what people we need. I've got another idea which would be great fun to do, but I don't know if it would actually look any good. Synchronized selfies.
Right.
If anyone can figure out how to make that work. But, yeah.
Watch the space.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for coming on, and come back, and good luck, and hopefully you get a bazillion hits on Spotify.
And tell Colin that we miss him, we love him, and we want him to come home.
Yes. I'm sure he'll be back. He'll be back safely, which will be good. All right, if you're going to keep listening on Plains FM, which you should, Songs About Everything Else, episode 37 is coming up shortly, so give that a listen. That's always a good listen. And Colin should be back next week. I'll be back, so it's probably about time that I got up and got down and got outside. And we'll see you later.